two phenomenal guests who will help us navigate through the show today as we take a look at our 2021 learnings. A quick postmortem if you like, and you will also take away tips for the new year.
Yes, we'll take away tips for the new year. While the renowned relationship experts and motivational speaker and wealth creation agent, Dr. Olumide Emmanuel, helps us look at our weaknesses and strengths in the last year, Pharaoh Shonuga will be joined by Yewande Adeusi to prioritize what lessons we've learned from 2021.
Exactly, John. So on a scale of 1 to 10, this is you now on this in the spotlight.
Yes.
Okay.
Hot seat. Too.
Hot seat on a scale of 1 to 10. Tell
Yes.
me. You know, you asked me that time. I gave you a very, an answer that wasn't verbalized. But it had a lot of weight.
Yes.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm making it easy for you.
Mm-hmm.
Put yourself, score yourself now.
I'll also give you a.
Oh no, that's not acceptable.
But frankly, Helen, yesterday it was kind of topsy-turvy, up and down, down, then, but at the end of it all, they say that, of this, we should always give thanks to God. So I appreciate God for everything that's happened. Everything for me has been a learning curve.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
If I didn't learn how to do it, now I learn how not to do it.
Wow. Wow, guys. Very, very articulate, very intelligent,
yeah.
very professional in all of the areas that we have, brought up as topics and focus as we, attempt every week to get the family prepared for a better and wholesome life, in all areas. And the guest, after each production, I'm like, okay. But you will ask me, how much of it did I put into practice?
So how much of it did you put into practice?
Not very much. Because distractions of life.
Okay.
You want to do something and you get to do the almost opposite. You don't find the time, you don't find the presence of mind.
Focus.
Yes. And I hope that the common sense expert, who has been doing this job for a long time, will be able to help me, achieve when I leave a show, when I get very important critical information,
how to move on to the next step. Not bad at all.
Thank you.
After all said and done, here we are in 2022 with the opportunity and
with over 30 decades or 3 decades transforming lives. January 1st, very special transformation. I am extra excited. I haven't seen him in a long while.
Yes.
It's such a pleasure that he could say yes to our invitation. Please join me to welcome Dr. Olumide Emmanuel, commonly known as
the Common Sense Guru.
Common Sense Guru.
Yeah.
Good morning. And thank you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
It's a joy to see you again, even though it's virtual. It's a joy to be on your show.
Thank you.
I want to thank John and Ellen for having me. Well, it's a new year and it's a good way to start the year.
Thank you. I've seen you on a couple of shows and I'm like, no, this is my friend now. What? He's doing so much with other people. He should come help us here. So what, in your opinion, will be the defining landmarks? We're looking at 2021 in our nation's progress in the year just rounded off.
Well, I think that people did not even know how to plan because you weren't too sure. Because all your plans of 2020 were messed up with the uncertainties that met all of us. So for me, I think 2021 was a continuation of 2020 in the sense that it shows us that we don't have control over life. Wow. That we don't have control over life. We don't have control over everything. So we should focus on trying to make the most of what we can control. And for those things that we cannot control, should gain wisdom on how to navigate them when they come. So that's one lesson I believe people must have learned. Another thing that people, the equation of your life. And if you have not come into that place of taking personal responsibility to ensure that you turn out the way you want and you are the best version of yourself, then you have no one but yourself to blame. Because look at what's happening in our country today. It's very evident that the government is confused, economists are confused, scientists are confused. Almost every thought leader and all the people that you think are supposed to guide you are all confused, and they are just groping in darkness. So it means that whether you like it or not, you have to take personal responsibility for your life and ensure that you are ready to pay the price to make the most of your life. For instance, we have entered into a new year now, and everybody's saying Happy New Year. But the question is it really happy? What is happy about the new year? The new year is just the date. Yesterday was 2021, but today now is 2022. What changed? Nothing but a date on the calendar. By the time we're saying Happy New Year earlier this morning, Australia has said Happy New Year 10 hours before us. By the time we said Happy New Year, America was still 6 to 8 hours behind us waiting for the new year. So the new year is nothing but a date. The new year is nothing but a change in the calendar. So the question then will be, what will make a new year happy? So when you enter 2021, it was the same. So if you are 42 years old, you have probably had 42 Happy New Year. But where your life, was there any happiness? Because the only constants in the life of any individual is you. Jeez. So whether it was Happy New Year or this new year, you are the only constant. So you are the major factor. So if there is going to be any change, you have to make sure that you take responsibility for you. Because if you keep expecting somebody to do something, oh, it's because the president didn't do this, it's because the governor didn't do this. That's the excuse that you have given, that people will continue to give. But there is one person you must take, serious, and that is you. So for me, I think the lesson that everybody should have learned is, number one, you don't have control over everything in life. So the ones you can control. But number two, you are the most important factor in the equation of your life, and you need to take yourself serious and do what needs to be done.
Wow. Now I see why they say that common sense is not common.
Not at all.
That makes a lot of sense to us,
Yes.
Doctor. Now you said something about COVID.
Yes.
The world at large, has had to submit itself to the severe stranglehold of COVID in the last going to 2 years, yeah? And the pandemic.
In 2020, you remember that the head of the task force had said that he did not know that the health situation and the health facility of Nigeria was as bad as he realized. Now, if the head of the task force said that in the middle of 2020, and we are now in 2022, the question is, has anything changed? In the midst of that lockdown, we remember how that we realized that the health workers are very, very major assets in our country. And last year, they still had to go on strike to be paid. If they still had to go on strike to be paid after lockdown and after COVID, it shows you that we are not ready. We are just joking. So as far as I'm concerned, we have not done the best that we can do, and we have not done the best that we could do. For instance, look at the issue of vaccine. Why couldn't we have come up with our own vaccine by now? Why do we have to? Do you remember in the midst of the lockdown, everybody was saying, oh, will the let scientists do this? Now, almost 2 years later, no vaccine from Nigeria. We are still waiting for somebody to give us vaccine. We are still waiting for somebody to donate. It just in the country and the most revered people, because the lecturers and the teachers are the ones that train everybody. The doctors are the ones that bet us and keep us alive. But if you see the way they are treating teachers and they are treating doctors, and they have to go on strike and fight to get what belongs to them, it shows you where we are. So we have not really done well. And secondly, because we keep looking to the West to give us a guide on how to proceed, instead of coming up with our own unique solution, we end up becoming a pawn in the profit-making strategy of capitalists. You remember that when COVID started, they said, all the Africa will die, everybody will die. We went into lockdown, not because lockdown was our own solution, but because that's what they postulated to us. We went into lockdown because they kept telling us, oh, lock everybody down. We are forgetting that those that were locking down, they had a system and a structure in place that lockdown or no lockdown, there were things in place that will help people to survive. Nigeria does not have a database. I don't know whether you are a Nigerian or a Nigerian or a Liberian. I don't know who is a Nigerian. We have national ID card, we have international passport, we have driving license, we have BVN, we have telecom ID, everything, yet we don't have a national identity. Now they are saying collect vaccine, as there is all kinds of confusion. But the countries that were locking down, they add the database of their but because we keep waiting for people to tell us, oh, we carry their vocabulary, we carry their jargon, we carry their error. And now the capitalists are now making money. COVID has become a major money-making venture now. And that's why some people are deciding to fight against vaccine. I don't believe people should fight against vaccine, but it's becoming a money. Do you try to travel? Do you know that to travel now, you need to spend about 200,000 on COVID, even to go to ordinary Ghana to travel. So it's now money making. Okay. Even when you have vaccine, those that Ramaphosa was vaccinated, he had a booster shot, he still caught COVID. So the vaccine is not the solution to COVID. It's just to help all of us. It's not a money making venture.
Okay, Doctor, we'll have to interrupt you at this point because I see that Helen has been raising her hand.
You know, you started so well by saying this is the beginning of a new year and that our lives really, you know, and our fate is in our hands. If that wasn't a fact, I would be downcast, you know, looking back at what happened last year and where we are as a people, as a nation. But then, in all of this confusion and the failures, you know, the power lies in my hand. So I'm houses and all of it. And family is almost broken down. We have looked at various factors that affect and disintegrate families, as well as the factors that can, you know, unite the family. And so at this point, how much of a bash would you say that the family has taken as a unit in its attempt to adjust to the rapidly changing trends in lifestyle, globally, and, can I say locally?
We are in a global village now, so we are all interconnected. Both global and local is glocal now.
Okay.
Well, the family has been so it. I remember when COVID hit Nigeria and we had to go into lockdown, and everybody was talking about, oh, it's a health pandemic. Few things that came to my mind is that this is not just going to be a health pandemic. It's also going to be a spiritual pandemic. It's going to be a relational pandemic. And it's also going to be a financial pandemic. And when we look back now, we'll see that that's what has happened. You don't have an idea of how many marriages broke in 2020 as a result of the lockdown, because a lot of people have used busyness to manage their marriage. So husband is busy, wife is busy, but they were never the ability to seek help. 2021 was now a year of realigning themselves, reorganizing their family to move forward. But for those that did not want to seek help, 2021 showed a lot of disintegration. So the family had been badly hit, because whether we like it or not, money plays a major role in family. When we talk about the causes of family crisis, the top 5 reasons of family crisis are communication, sex, money, third parties, that's in-laws and outlaws, and then unrealistic expectation. So in the top 3, we have communication, sex, and money. So money is part of the major reasons why family have issues, and because there's no romance without finance. And you find out that because of the economic hardship that has come in since, you remember, since 2016, we have been in and out of recession. And a lot of people are in all kinds, they are in their strait. And when there is no money, survival becomes the major focus of people. And when people are at the survival level of life, they go down to their base animalistic instinct. And that's why we have seen armed robbery, kidnapping, family domestic abuse, yahoo, and young people going into drugs and all kinds of things because of poverty. Because a lot of people are trying to see how they can survive. So parents are trying to do all kinds. People are trying whatever they need to do to make money to just survive. And that has been a major problem. So for me, the family has been greatly hit. Family value is so low. We have cultism both in secondary school, in the university, even in primary school now, there's cultism. Yahoo is as low as 10-year, 12-year-old, already involved in all kinds of scams. So things are bad, but it's not hopeless. It's just for us to acknowledge that things are bad, but to realize that things can be better and take responsibility for our part in what has gone wrong, and then now take responsibility for doing what needs to be done to change it.
Yes.
A wise man once said, you cannot solve a problem at the same level of intelligence you were in when you created the problem. So we need to become a new person and have new mindset, new approach, and then we'll see newness coming out of that same situation, because dry bones can live again.
Yes, doctor. Yes, doctor. And in fact, what you're insinuating, or in fact, what you've affirmed now, is that the family unit is fast becoming a misnomer. You know, as members of the family now head in different directions in search of all manner of, you know, survival things. So it leads one to want to ask the question that don't you think that we're going to have like a permanent shift shift in the way families used to be, you know, to what we need to be now, because the dynamics have changed.
Yes, we do. You see, one of the challenges we have is the fact that we live in a changing world, but we refuse to change. Change is the only constant in the world that we live in. Many of us grew up under parents that were of one generation, and the way they raised us is different from the way we should raise our own children. But because we did not know better, we were raised mostly in a disciplinary structure. This is the way it must be. Whatever I say goes, you know, because I said so generation. And then we grew up raising children that are growing up in a different generation. And we want to raise them the way we were raised. And now there is a lot of crisis between parents and children. When we were growing up, our parents wanted us to be engineers, doctors, and lawyers. Why? Because they wanted their children to have a career that gives them a prefix. So my child is a doctor, engineer, barrister. But when many of us now started growing up to say we want to be footballers, we want to be actors and actresses, it was like, hey, who did this to me? But now we have now come into that place where we realize that there are so many careers that are springing up that our parents were not aware of. But unfortunately, we are repeating the same mistake, because now our children are saying they don't want to go to school. They want to do coding. They want to become a graphic artist. And you are telling me, graphic what? Are you all right? Which one is that one? As at 5 years ago, to be a drone pilot was not a career. Now it's a career. Yeah. As at 5 years ago, to be a social media manager was not a career. To be a social media influencer was not a career. That's now a career. Many of the careers we grew up with are expiring. To be a doctor now, you're on your way out, because technology is replacing. We don't need medical doctors anymore. To be a lawyer, you're on your way out. So many of the careers that exist today, they are 21st century dinosaurs. And now, instead of preparing our children for the future, we are preparing them for our own world that is expiring. So it's becoming a crisis. So we as parents need to realize that the world we grew up in does not exist anymore. And trying to prepare our children for an expired world is not wise. We should be preparing our children to solve tomorrow's problem and not to solve today's problem. And that's what we need to know. So the family has changed. We now have Generation Z and we have Generation Alpha. And now Gen Z are the teenagers and the young adults of today. Generation Alpha are the people that were born just 11 years ago. So anyone that was born 11 years ago, they are Generation Alpha. Now listen, Generation Alpha does not understand the real world. The world they understand is online. So the online world is their own real world. But many of us that gave birth to them, we don't even have Facebook account. We don't even understand technology. So when they are on the phone and they are doing things on the phone, we think they are unserious. We think they are not concerned. We think you are very unserious. All you do is phone. All you do is iPad. But that is their world.
Yeah.
That's their
You know what, doctor?
Yeah.
You know what, doctor?
Yeah, no one.
Can I interrupt? Can I just interrupt you at that point? Because I want to know what generation Helen belongs to. Helen, are you which?
Why would you interrupt, doctor, to ask me what generation I belong? Why must you?
You are all baby boomers. You are not even. You are in the 60s and 70s children. You are not even accepted in this equation.
Wow, some true and some facts coming out here on the show. It's today with John and Helen on Plus TV, and we have the common sense guru. So could you quickly give us a sense of what we should expect in the months leading up to the nation's next election?
On the role of personal and political leadership in the economic empowerment of individuals. So I've come to a place where I know that if you are going to ever make it in any aspect of life, your personal leadership and political leadership plays a role, but it begins with you. National transformation is a function of visionary leadership and engage. Do you have your PVC? Many people that are talking and making noise about Nigeria, they don't even have PVC. You can't vote. So what is all this? You know, INEC does not count prayer points. INEC does not count Instagram like and Facebook followership. Those are not what INEC will count. So you can go to church from today to tomorrow, mountain to mountain, and pray all the prayer you want to pray. You are just fooling yourself, because that does not equate to votes. So everybody should get their PVC, and everybody should join a political party and start doing what they can do. We don't need to start a new one. As of today, there is no political party in Nigeria that has any serious ideology. APC is not the answer. PDP is not the answer. They are all the same. But if new set of people go into these parties and begin to play our part, we can begin to change it from inside. If you like, start any political party. It will take another 20 years for you to catch up with the machinery that has been built for 22 years. So all these APC and PDP machineries, they are a combination of 20 years machinery, because it's the same people jumping from one place to the other, restructuring. So you need to look for which one to join, because none of them is better. So you don't say this one, no, they are all the same. But you cannot change things from outside by making noise on television or on social media. So everybody get your PVC, join the political party. If APC has 50,000 members and 100,000 new people with new ideology join them, we can wipe out the 50,000 members within 2 years by changing the ideology from inside. If PDP has 50,000 members and 100,000 new people join them from outside, we can change it from within. So to stay outside and be making noise, we are fooling ourselves. So the solution is take personal responsibility. In your local government, in your CDA, take responsibility. In landlord association, in your school association, in your fellowship, everybody take it, because politics is local. It starts from the local government, from your street, landlord association. Do you pay for the gates? When they pay for gate for security, do you pay? Well, even if you live in face me and face you, they say everybody should pay for 500 naira for the cleaner. Do you pay? So from that face me and face you association to landlord association to CDA to different club, that's where it starts. So when everything changes from the grassroots, before you know it, the national is nothing but a combination.
And it doesn't count prayer points. So I must admit that this is real good stuff, you know. And it's the best way for us to start the new year, if you ask me, because we have to.
True, John.
The things, the points that Dr. Emmanuel just talked about. Awesome.
Totally, I agree with you, John. And we have more coming from our guest after the break. Dr. Olumide Emmanuel is still with us when we come back from this short break. Please stay with us.
Yeah. Okay. So, Doctor.
I miss them.
Well, they should be on their way by now.
Will it feel like it used to? With everyone so busy these days.
It will be fine.
Suddenly, feels like I'm gonna fall. I can see all of my dreams so perfectly.
Oh, you line up! Single file!
Love's not a dream at all. Somebody.
Grandpa, what was Grandma like?
She always found ways to bring us all together. It took me a while to discover how she does it.
Devon Kings, taste that brings us all together.
All right, welcome back. New edition of Today with John and Helen on Plus TV Africa. Dr. Olumide Emmanuel has been with us from the beginning of the show, and we are almost out of time.
Yes.
And we can't let Doctor go without giving us like 5 very quickly or 10 must-do things and factors that we must consider and put into practice on a daily basis, 2022, to make sure that at the end of this year, or maybe the first quarter, we can say we're better people and we're impacting our world better.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know if I can do 10 because the time is gone.
So let's do 5.
So, number 1, become a new you. A new year without a new you will produce old results. So become a new you, become a new version of yourself. And in order for that to happen, number 2, examine yourself critically. Self-examination, know all the things that has gone wrong. Then number 3 will be set new goals. You now need to set new goals for yourself. So, okay, this new year, I want to be a better person, better husband, better father, better parent, better this, a better citizen, a better. So you now set those goals, and then you begin to examine and establish those goals. Then you need to now do new things. You cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. So if you want to experience new things, if you want to experience a new year, then you have to do new things. So do new things. And as you begin to do new things, you begin to see how that the year will be good. And finally, in all that you do, ensure that you play your part. No one will play your part on your behalf. Play your part in ensuring that that which you expect to see, you play your part to see it. Don't give excuses expecting somebody to do for you what you should be doing for yourself. And once you play your part, it's only a matter of time you will get a good result. So I believe that everyone listening to me today, as you have crossed into 2022, this year it will be all-around growth. And at the end of the year, you will look back and be grateful because this year will be bigger, brighter, and better. So happy New Year to you all.
Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year, Dr.
Thank you, and I say amen to
Emmanuel.
that.
Happy
Thank
New Year to you, sir.
John,
Health is a must in 2022.
let's take that break.